inspired by kingdom principles that work for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RBN's Relationship Matters. I am your host, Rayette Spence, and today on Relationship Matters, we are talking about parent-child relationship. This is going to be good. Today, joining me are two beautiful, intelligent women who are making great waves in their sphere of influence. First, Areeba Johnson. She's a mental health professional dedicated to educating and empowering individuals on how to heal from traumatic situations. She is stationed in Miami, Florida, where she lives now, but was born to Bahamian parents. Help me, viewing audience, to welcome Miss Areeba Johnson. Hey, Areeba!
Hi, Rayette. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, my love?
I'm good. So excited to be a part of the show today.
I'm so excited to have you. I know that we first met on my I Am a Promise conference. And after you did such a wonderful job with my kids, I was like, I have to look for any opportunity to speak to this lady again. So I'm excited to have you here, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you. Next up, she is the director of Vessels of Purpose, Vote, Elite, Vessels of Purpose, Elite, Vote, a mentoring program for young ladies in Grand Bahama, Bahamas. She's a trained social worker and a sought-after motivational speaker. She is a wife and a mother. Help me welcome today, Miss Brennt Cooper. Brenny!
Hi, Rayette. Hi.
Hey, sweetie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome.
Great.
And when I said sought after motivational speaker, that
Yes.
was just not something that I said. Because you just came off doing a youth panel.
Yes. Well,
Hosting a youth panel. Yes. You guys are doing some awesome things. And I congratulate you and I welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes.
You are welcome. So I see we need to bring Areeba back. But while I have you here, Brenny, I know, okay, so we're talking all about parent-child relationships, and we know this can be a touchy situation, but I think it's a necessary conversation that we need to have. Because we can't just look at the aspect of husband, wife. I try to say this on every show because I believe when we hear relationship, we think husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And we're neglecting those relationships like parents and child, employer and employee. All of these relationships are necessary if we're going to have a strong community, strong country, a strong world. So I really wanted to touch on parent relationship, especially what's going on right now in terms of the COVID, the pandemic, the demographic of the world has changed. And I often say, as a youth worker myself, that we train for everything, but we don't have parent classes. Like, I think we need parent classes. And so you guys are going to help me today. I can be wrong, and they probably eat off my head when they say this. But when I look at it from my point of view of working with young people, I always say we don't have a youth and children problem, we have a parent problem. Now they can eat off my head as much as they want. That's how I see it. But you guys can correct me because you're the professionals in your field. So Areeba, I'm gonna, I said it, and we have a parent problem, but we can get into that. Areeba, so it seems now that parents and children are operating from two different worlds, two different planets. I know there was this thing that women were from Mars and men were from Venus. I think parents and children are experiencing that same thing as it relates to communication. So let's dive into that first. What do you feel, because I know that you do this from a day-to-day basis, what is the lapse in communication with parents and children, and what can be done to bridge that gap?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, one is we're in a different time and age right now where, our world has evolved so much from back when I was growing up or back when,
Mhm.
you guys were children. And times have changed so much, or we have such influence from social media that plays such a huge
Yeah.
role in children's lives. Like when I think about when I was a child, there was no Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
It was AOL where you dialed up and it made that little ding noise, right? And you still had to get permission to get on that. So for me growing up, even when I was a child, it was that statement, you are to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
So we were taught as children to just kind of obey the rules, to listen, and that was it. Whereas now in today's day, we're wanting children to be able to vocalize how they're
Yes.
feeling and express the challenges that they're going through. And oftentimes it requires parents to just really sit and listen and to get on
Yes.
that child's level. And a lot of times parents just don't put in that effort, or they don't know how to connect because they're not in those
That's
times,
it.
So they're
Mhm.
not up to date with what's going on, or not all into the social media and the media and the celebrities. So oftentimes it's just hard to really communicate if you're not trying to understand where your child is at, because you have
Mhm.
to get to their level. They don't need to feel as if you're above. Even though as parents, yes, you are the authoritative figure, but you still have to try to understand where they're coming from. And that's the part sometimes where parents can lapse, because it's like that, you just listen to me, do as I say, and that's it, versus really trying to understand what your child is going through. The cyberbullying, all those things play a role that wasn't a
Mhm.
part of back when I was growing up. So it's just that understanding times change, so you have to change with what's going on to try to understand where your child is at.
I get that, and that's really really good. But then there are those strict parents. I'd probably be one of those parents, and I'm hearing all of this. But Brenny, so we want them to have their own voices. Yes, we do, and we want them to be able to express themselves. Yes, we do, and I think that's necessary. But is there a fine line between being expressive and being rude? Because see, because I think that's what parents, I don't know if we understand how to decipher between the two. Are they being expressive and using their voices, or are you just being plain disrespectful? Can you help us with that?
Well, I think that that's an excellent question. I think that definitely there is a difference. There is a difference.
Mhm.
However, sometimes we as parents, being a parent myself, sometimes we do get it confused. Sometimes
Yes.
when the child is being expressive, we say that you're being rude because we interpret being rude as okay, having a freedom of speech or whatever the
Your
case may
own
be. But we
opinion.
know that's
Hmm.
not being rude.
Hmm.
But there can be a fine line, but I think too often we get it mixed up. Yeah. Yes.
I believe so. And Areeba, and one of the things that I love that you did at the conference was you helped kids to express their feelings. How could we help parents to help their children express their feelings without feeling that you've relinquished control and I am, I'm not getting to this child and it's a rude child. So I came home today and I threw a tantrum.
Hmm.
um, how do I get a child to communicate what they're feeling and a parent to understand that maybe it's a bit deeper than what I think it is? How do I get them to do that?
So you gave a great example of a child coming home from school and throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And, usually they're trying to regulate their emotions and they don't know how to, so they're acting that out. So first helping them to de-escalate and say, okay, let's try to get you to, release whatever frustration or anger that you have. And then following up and saying, okay, now that you're calm, and let's talk about what's going on. And I know oftentimes it's hard because kids don't want to come out, especially depending on the age. If you're talking about
Mhm.
pre-adolescents to teenagers, they don't want to talk about their business. For the most part, they're talking to their friends, whatever the issues are, not to the parents. So just being consistent in accent, and the more time you really put into trying to understand what your child likes, things that they want to do, and showing interest to show how much you care, that opens up, doors where they can begin to share with you, because it may not always be right when you want it to be, but if you be consistent with being a part of their life and being emotionally available, where you really try to understand what they're going through, eventually they will begin to share with you. Maybe during, one of the things, growing up for me was family night. We had a day dedicated to just doing games, and really trying to eliminate some of the electronics. And I know that's hard if you're talking about teenagers, cell phones and things. Just taking time out where you can really just say, okay, let's do something family oriented, where it's just us spending time together, in hopes to build that relationship so you're comfortable enough to be able to talk to me. And the more, consistent you are, and the more interest you show, your child will see that you love them, and that your ultimate, desire is to show that how much you care and you want their safety and you want to know what's going on. So really just trying to reach out to them, and doing things that they like to do, and having family night and games. And during this COVID time, I think it's enforcing a lot of family nights around this time where everything is locked down. And really being able to understand, well, what is my child going through, and asking them, how is school? Every day ask, how is school? I tell you, my mother growing up, she asked me every day. And some days I didn't want to say anything. But then when I was ready to talk, I spoke to her. Because of the consistency, because of her constantly asking, what's going on with you? What's the matter? I noticed, pointing out some of those behaviors. I noticed you came home and you look down, and you have younger children, you're having this temper tantrum, means you're angry. Like, identify what it is that the emotions or behaviors that they're showing, what emotions that is. And, asking them, what's going on? What happened in school today?
And if I may
Areeba,
add,
awesome, awesome, awesome. That's in a perfect world. It's in a perfect world. And let me tell you why I say this. I know some parents are sitting down thinking their heads are in the clouds. I can't feed my children right now. I don't have a job right now. There is no hope right now. Everything around me is looking dismal and my world is caving in. And I don't know how to take care of these children. And it seems like this is an added burden on top of what's going on. So, Brenny, how do we speak to those parents? I want to choose properly. How do we speak to those parents who feel like, or they are now projecting their aggression and oppression and their anxiety and depression, all of those things, onto the children? Not because they want to, but because no one has taught them how to do anything else, and everything's just looking off right now. What do we say to those parents?
well,
Because
first
they're
of
not going to
all,
get to play game. They're not going to get to play game night. They have no
and
game.
yes. This is a timely point. You're so on point with it, because there are so many parents, especially here in the Bahamas, who you're going through. And of course, in my line of work, working with a lot of parents who are in need, who are going through experiencing the stressful situations with unemployment, health issues, just the economy. Everything seems to be just happening all at once, because there are a lot of people out there. It's rough. Like the children say, pressure is tall
Tall,
for
tall.
a tall.
Yeah.
But understanding that, and the projection, like you said, and probably even some parents not even being able to, like you said, how to express what I'm feeling in an
Yeah.
appropriate way, where it is that I'm not hurting my child. But
Right.
besides all of that, Rayette, I always say, and I'm a firm believer that your role as a parent is paramount.
Yes.
Like, the child cannot be the adult. So while you're going through so much, seek assistance, talk to
Mm.
someone,
Right.
counselor. Perhaps, okay, maybe the counselor is a bit too official. You may have, that parent may have a relative or a friend who is sound-minded, who gives great advice. Turn to
Mm-hmm.
someone. You may have a church member, pastor, someone who you can trust or who you trust, who can really, really help you through this. But still, that does not negate the fact that you are still a parent and you
Right.
still have to be nurturing, you still have to be loving, you still have to be that listening ear to
Mm-hmm.
your son or your
It's,
daughter.
it's still your
We have to
responsibility.
balance. Yeah,
Yes.
it's still our responsibility.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
See, and that brings me to my next question then, Brady, because that I was about to ask. Can you be a child's friend and parent? And I can ask you that because you're in that role as a parent. Can you do the two? I mean, is that possible?
Well, okay, of course, in preparation, and always working with young people, this is a question or this is something that you always ask yourself, you think about that kind of thing. And typically I would have answered no. I would say no. Either you're a parent or a child. Mm. But that was before I had a teenager son of myself, of my own. That
Okay,
was
talk
before
about it.
me
Hmm.
understanding certain things about really what it is. When we define what a friend is someone that you have a bond with, that
Right,
you can share with. That's a friend that you can
right,
confide in, you can trust. Those are the same things that as a parent that you can do or you should do. You should bond with your child. You should, nurture love and all of the difference is that as a parent, okay, you have a greater responsibility. You're caring for now. You're the caregiver, and there's this added responsibility, but the role of the friendship
yes.
is still there. Now that's where, some other things come into play, boundaries and all of that. But can you be your child's friend? I think that you can be your child's friend with the appropriate boundaries.
Boundaries. See, you must be reading my notes because that was my next thing. But I'm going to swing this over to Areeba again because I want to piggyback on the parent thing and the parents' feelings. We talked about the child's feelings. Can you give the parents some tips? Because trust me when I tell you, people are going through. I don't want to keep
Yeah,
reiterating it, but it is a fact.
yeah,
And I think people in this time more than anything need coping mechanisms
mm,
to deal with some stuff. Because I spoke to, on the last episode, I spoke to therapist Daron, and he was telling us about some of the things that we need to do. And I think, I don't want to talk too much, but I think we've gotten so far away from being our brother's keeper that we don't feel like we have the support system we need because I'm in this little bubble and you're in this little bubble. And I think that is what's going on, why it's getting increasingly more difficult. But give me some coping mechanisms to give to a parent that they're not, again, projecting what they're feeling onto their children. Because, like Bernie said, at the end of the day, you still have to be a parent. You can't come up with excuses. You
yeah,
can't come up with excuses. You don't get to do this again. So, what you're doing now will affect the kind of woman or man that we will have to come up against in the future. So, what can we tell parents right now to help them?
Yeah, yeah. This is definitely a time that we're all in. And I know the Bahamas has, experienced so much, with Hurricane Dorian last year and now
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19. There's so much the people of the Bahamas are just going through right now. And, I can only imagine the level of stress it is to have when you have to deal with your own stress and trauma, as well as now helping your child. And how do you deal
Yes.
with yours while trying to help your child? It's a challenge. And one of the things, I know just me growing up, parents of the Bahamas, sometimes, I can be proud and prideful where I feel like if I share it with people what I'm really going through, then they'll see that there's something wrong or that I'm weak.
Right.
If I keep it all in and suffer in silence, then I won't have to burden other people or really show them what's really going on the inside. If I cover it up with makeup and nice clothes, maybe they won't really know how bad I'm
Speak
struggling.
to it. Speak
The
to
truth
it.
of the matter is we have to really be able to speak and share and look for those
Yeah.
who we can confide and who we know are going to pour back into us and, encourage and uplift us. Asking God to give you discernment who to talk to, because you got to be careful who you talk to as well, because just as
Yes.
well as they can pour into you, they can take from you. So asking God to really show you, whether it's a therapist, it's a pastor, it's a friend, it's a mother in the church, someone who you can be able to say, this here walk, this here challenge is almost taking me out. And I need to release this, and I need someone to just pray and uplift me, because
Yes.
this one here is harder than I can imagine.
Yes.
So open
Yes.
your mouth and ask for help when you need it. Really just seeking, like I said, asking God for that discernment and praying, asking God to show you and to tell you how to really cope with this, giving you the strength, because we know that through God, all things are possible, right?
Yeah.
And He'll give you the strength that you need, even when you feel like you can't make it. He said He won't give you no more than you can bear. So asking Him to
That's
just,
good,
help
Areeba.
you to, find the right people, praying, meditation. Like I said, this is a time that everybody's going through. Everybody, even here, me, even though I'm not in the Bahamas, I'm here in the US, and the risk of going out and knowing that there's this deadly disease that can take anybody out in my family at any time. It can bring
Yes.
about anxiety and fear. And you have to shift your minds and get it to think on things that are positive, that are noble. The Bible says that, putting your mind on those things. And for me, sometimes even in the mornings doing affirmations, I am, decrees and
We
declares.
talked about that yesterday. Yes. Yes.
Speaking that thing until it becomes like your daily, like it becomes your belief system, like it becomes real in your life, that you have to speak against all those thoughts that say you're not going to make it. Those thoughts that saying that this is not going to get better. We're not getting out of this situation. Speak against it. So asking for help, speaking against the negative thoughts, affirmations in the morning, meditation, prayer,
Yes.
exercising, eating healthier. In this time when we locked up, I can't tell you how much food I've been eating. It's horrible. But when I go out and exercise, I'm not gonna lie, it gives such a positive
Yes.
feeling in my body to know that I'm releasing this sweat and this energy. So exercising, and just doing healthy things, whether it's a bubble bath or listening to music or praying or talking to a sister, whatever it is that you find to help release some of that frustration and give you some peace and some joy in times like this. So, really just, even if it's journaling, so finding out what is best for you, what is something that you feel, gives you that peace and joy to help you during times like this.
Because you know what I realized too, Areeba, is you can't give what you do not have.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing from you is we need to just step back,
Yeah.
woosah, and just take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. Because
Yes.
if we keep pouring out of that cup into others, we're gonna find out that it's run out and we don't have anything left for us.
Yes.
That's some very good advice.
The self-care is so important. You always hear them tell you when you go on the airplane, before you take the oxygen mask and give it to someone else, give it to yourself first, because you can't help no one. If you run out of oxygen, you're dead, right? So you have to put it on you first before you can help someone else. So knowing how to do that self-care and, making sure that you're well before you can help someone else.
Now, Brady, let me talk to you as a parent. You have two beautiful children. I think one is getting ready for university, the other one is getting ready for upper primary. You must have some anxieties too, because like Areeba says, sometimes with what they see, everybody see is this what we present to them. So they see us all cute. But as a parent, it must be terrifying at this time. You must be terrified. Yes, we trust in God and all of that. We love the Lord. We know He's going to take care of us, but that human side of us, how do you as a parent deal with all of the anxieties that are going on right now? And how do you help your children to navigate through it?
Yes, excellent question. And guess what? Honestly speaking, anxiety, yes. It's interesting. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a parent, and she was expressing, just wanting to be real with her feelings, wanting to really share that she is afraid of all that's going on. She lost her job and she has children and all of that. And, she said, Brenny, I don't get to talk like this And it's so important. And, of course, I encouraged her and I said, okay, even for myself, it's important to be real with your feelings. The
Yes.
Bible speaks of to thine own self be true. So, first of all, as a parent, I need to identify, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? Fear, yes. Anxiety, yes. And then trying to deal with them accordingly. Just as we spoke, just as you mentioned, just now, it's like you cannot pour out of an empty fountain. You cannot pour out. So in order for me to assist my family, my children, I have to deal with me. I have to sometimes look myself point blank in the mirror and just deal with what it is that I'm feeling. Sometimes that's not always a comfortable thing to do, but for because I want it to be better, because I want my children to not experience it in a negative way, to have negative experiences about it. I have to deal with it. So of
Right.
course, as you mentioned, I have a son that's already registered and enrolled into university, and even that has changed. And what's interesting that even that you asked that, I remembered a few months ago in preparation and all of that. Now, I think that my husband and I have done an excellent job in terms of preparation and getting him sorted out. We knew this day
Mm-hmm.
was going to come,
Mm-hmm.
and in conversating with him and basically asking him, okay, what is one of your greatest fears? And he would have expressed um, well, actually, he expressed that there is a fair, and I was like, a fair? Why? He said, well, I don't know if I'll be able to make it in college. Like, I'll be doing everything on my own, and I will be, like all of these things that I was like, what? Like, I never knew those were things that he was concerned about. And mind you, those
Right.
things on the wrap, like it's gonna be okay. I know that as a parent, but it's just amazing. But if we didn't have that conversation, I would have never known, first of all, what his
Uh-huh.
fear was, what his anxiety was, and then I would have not been able to discuss that for him. So
And prepare him for it.
lighter. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. He came out feeling lighter. So it is important for us to, first of all, as parents, identify what we're feeling. Where is it
Right.
coming from? And just really, really trying to deal with it for us to be able to be better equipped in dealing with our children and making it better for them. Definitely. Mhm.
And I love the fact that we can look in the mirror and deal with ourselves first. Self-care, take care of ourselves first. But I think too, it is very important as parents, as adults, as mentors, that we be real with our children.
Exactly.
Now, for a lot of parents, we felt, and as traumatic as the COVID is, it's a blessing. And let me tell you why.
Mhm.
Because now, as parents, we have to sit our children down and let them know life has changed. Things are
Yes.
different. I can't get you the $1,000 tennis and the $9,000 bag for school. We
Mhm.
have to be real because I think we were on this crutch of if I give my children more, then I'm a better parent.
Yes.
It has come now that we have to now have these conversations and be real with our children because I believe, now y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, most of the anxiety parents are feeling is because they feel that they can't provide what their children want, not
Mhm.
need,
Mhm.
what they want.
Yes.
Because most of the things the children need don't have a price tag.
Yes.
Areeba, can you speak to that?
Definitely during times like this where, sometimes parents overcompensate, where they'll
Yes,
buy things and, especially, clothing and shoes that, are extravagant or, costly and not being able to provide that anymore. It's that sense of, I can't provide for my child anymore. I can't give
right.
them that want, and that should not be that, times like this, like you said, being able to say that, times have changed and being able to have that conversation with your child, let them know that it's the things that they need that are the important and critical things right now, and not the items that, or, Jordans or a certain type of tennis shoes. So honestly, we're not to be going out and about to be able to wear these things to, try to please and impress other people. Right now, it's really survival skills to just say we want to get through this pandemic, get back to a place economically where we can all survive and manage, and just having that conversation and allowing the child to express to you how they feel about that. How is this COVID impacting them? Because like I said, they have emotions too, and it's hearing them out.
Yes,
It's having a candid conversation and saying, hey, look, this is where we're at as parents financially. This is just not the route to go. And having that conversation back to back. And if their child is younger, where, maybe they're not able to fully understand, honestly, if they're young and there's really not a need to be buying really expensive things like that, but really just trying to even understand your younger children. But your older ones, just having that conversation with them and saying, how do you feel about this COVID-19? How do you feel how it has made changes in our life? And knowing that this is a season that we have to go through, and just saying we're in this together, and I want to hear how you're feeling and know that we're hoping to get out of this and hopefully to get back to a place where we can, live more comfortably and do things that, we may have done in the past. But just having that conversation.
Time goes so quickly when we're having fun. But I want to throw something out to both of you, and we're going to end on this note. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should or she should go. And when they're old, they will not depart from it. I just want you to speak to this for about a minute or two. What is your idea, Brenny, of training up a child in the way that he should go? Or Areeba, we can go to you first. Speak to that for me. What is it for you? Well, you don't have children yet, but I heard you mention your parents a lot. So what is it training a child in the way that they should go? Speak to that for me.
Right. So setting that foundation, like when your children are young and you have that, you're setting those beliefs and values in them at a young age and allowing them to understand, what your family beliefs are, what your core values are. And, allowing that to be able to take them into their adulthood, really helping them to know that, life isn't about all of the material things, and life is about, this purpose driven and, what you bring to, society. So really helping your children to understand at a young age and cultivating them to really be the best, adults that they can be. So as you begin to lay that foundation and trusting that what you place in them, that's something that will grow in them as they become adults. So,
Freddie, what would you say about that?
What I would add to that is definitely I would agree with all that Areeba would have said. I would also say to create that environment. As parents, we create environments for our children. So foster that environment where the child can learn and grow, can be healthy minded, can be exposed to things that will cause them to be that productive citizen, that decent human being, that godly example, just creating the environment for our children, training them, teaching them, loving them, nurturing them, correcting them, in the way that the Bible and the way that God wants them to grow and learn and to really just be full of purpose, to live out their purpose, train them to live their purpose.
That's awesome, ladies. Thank you so much. And what I gather from this as I wrap up, I heard instill values in them, instill character in them, create core values that they can live by. And I am by no means saying that you should not provide for your child. If you have it, give your child the best. That's my thing. But at the end of the day, understand that it's still, first of all, it's still your responsibility to raise them. Even going through what you're going through, that's the choice you made to bring them into the world. That's your responsibility. That's on you. You're going to answer to God for them. And secondly, the things that they really, really need don't cost anything. And in this time, there's no need to be depressed on. And I understand. Trust me, I understand. I don't have any children of my own as yet, but I could only understand when you have to provide for these children and you don't have to provide. You don't have it to provide. But at the same time, don't let the fear and depression and anxiety project on the children because you feel like you can't give them what they want, because you can give them what they need, and that doesn't cost a thing. And like Darren said yesterday, and like Areeba reiterated today, affirm your children and affirm yourself. So thank you so much, ladies. That was an awesome, awesome. Of course, all of my shows are going to have a part two. I got to bring you back on. But I think you helped parents and you helped children. You gave us some tips on how we can express ourselves to our children, how our children can express themselves and what they're going through. So next time we come on, we're going to go into a bit more in depth about it. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Any closing words? Because I could talk about this all day. Trust me. But do you have any closing words? Any
I guess
encouraging words for our parents and our children?
definitely, I guess as a parent, just take that role. I mean, that's a very, very important role. Like, it is nobody else's responsibility. It is your responsibility to train your child in the
Yes.
way that he and she should go. It's your responsibility.
Areeba?
And the information and encouragement and advice that is being provided during this show is just words of wisdom to add to your life and to the things that you are already doing. It is not to make you feel worse or to make you feel
Yes.
bad or
Yes.
to make you feel as if you're not doing enough, because truly and honestly, we're doing the best that we can based on
With
what
what
we
we
know
have.
how to.
We know.
When you know
Uh-huh.
But when you know better, you do better. So when you find information that can add to you, apply it. But definitely don't let this be an opportunity to beat down on yourself, because trust me, this is not the time to, feel worse because of things you're not able to do, or, things you feel you're not doing great at. It's just, okay, room for improvement, but know that you're doing the best that you can,
Yeah.
and be happy and proud and of the fact that you're trying. And if you're tuning in and taking this information, that's a good start right there on its own, right?
Yes. So step back, take some self care, and we encourage parents all over the world to just take it one day at a time. Of affirmations, meditation, prayer, and find you someone that you can confide in and trust. Thank you so much, viewing audience. This was another episode of Relationship Matters on RBN Network. And until next time, take care of yourself and remember, we're changing the world one relationship at a time.
You're watching